Beep, 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 beep. Hello. If the sound's a bit funny, it's because I've got a fan on. Because if I don't have it on, I'm going to melt like, some fat blob. It's just so warm. I don't know what's going on because it's not sunny. It's muggy. That's the word, isn't it? It's muggy. Muggy is the word. So what have I got for you today on the old Court of the EDI Jester? Welcome, good evening, good afternoon, and good night, wherever you may be. And good day. Right, let's do the BBC for a change. BBC. Right, the BBC, right, who are just like a nest of sort of woke lovies, right, okay, are a most ridiculous organisation. They are a most ridiculous organisation. Although they produced some good stuff in the past, they've fallen to wokery, haven't they? So they're an absolute mess on that front. And also they were deeply concerned about misinformation. Now, this concept of misinformation is very important. I argue about this on the Warrior Teacher course with some of the teachers. I present an argument about how things should be, and they come back with various answers about it. But we've seen some of this idea of, here we are, we're going to be, attacking misinformation as something that people think they can easily do. Well, that's not how the game works. Misinformation has been part of our lives forever. Forever, People will take on stuff that's just cobblers, because people are people, right? I'm going to read the bumps on your head and tell you your future. God, that's bloody amazing. Right, okay, what's going to happen? Yep, you're going to need a haircut. Or I can read your feet, or your hands. That's the other one, isn't it? Give us your hands, I'll tell you what's going on in the world. Oh, we've got a long lifeline there. Have I? Well, it's like that, we've just got big hands. Because that's what human beings do, isn't it? I love a bit of that, right? Okay, what? So right, we're gonna stick a piece of metal in your forehead, churn up the front of the brain, and everything will be well with the world. People thought it was great. Eugenics shops, eugenic T-shirts, eugenic hats. Let's all play eugenics. Let's all play eugenics. That's what it was like. I'm not kidding you. Eugenic parades. They thought they were onto something. They thought they were going to make the perfect race. Human beings have always been and will always be inveterately stupid, inevitably stupid, inherently stupid. We are a stupid creature by nature. So we have to watch ourselves, which is where misinformation comes in. Because you've got to be, hang on a minute, doesn't sound true, let's have a look. So you go and try and find 3 or 4 sources, or at least those of us with any sense to a bit of curiosity, let's see what's going on. Now, the BBC, like, I suppose, Community Notes has tried to do this, except occasionally you get a bit of a battle, which is great. So there was a Community Note on a Guardian article recently, which was about gender nonsense, and people put up the correct answer, but actually this is not true, what's true is blah, blah, blah. And then the other people there, the nutters, they got it taken down again. So it's always going to be this sort of balancing act, and there'll be fine edge cases which will be fought out in the public arena of communication, like the Twitters, So that's quite good fun. But the BBC went a step further, and they did a whole Ministry of Truth type thing. And they employed what they euphemistically called a disinformation and correspondent and chief fact checker. What could possibly go wrong? Well, strangely enough, it didn't take long for something to go wrong. And so, BBC's disinformation correspondent and chief fact checker, Mariana Spring, she's a bouncy kind of woman, Mariana Spring is accused of lying. Oh, this is glorious. Is accused of lying on her CV by falsely claiming to have worked with a Beeb journalist when applying for a job in Moscow. Who watches the Watchmen, eh? Is it custodian, iptat, ergo VIP? I don't know. Quit custodian, whatever. I can't remember what it's called. Where is it in Latin now? Who watches the Watchmen? So there's then a picture of her looking all smiley. And the BBC's difference is supposed to have lied on her CV. Mariana Spring, 27. It always makes me laugh when they give the age. Mariana Spring, 27. Shot to prominence with a reporting on the way social media has been used to peddle false information. I love it. Mariana Spring, 27, shot to prominence with a reporting on what was blatantly obvious to everybody. But she is now facing the embarrassing allegation that she gave misleading information herself. It's just too delicious for words. One claim of working with a respected BBC correspondent to try to secure work. So she lied on her CV to get a job. That's integrity, isn't it? It didn't even enter her head, did it? Right, I'll just put this. And now I'll put this. Right. I'm applying for a job that is about integrity and truthfulness, because I'm going to be the BBC's truth czar, or whatever they're going to call it, right? What should I do? Right, I'll lie. I'll lie on me. Oh, I shouldn't have put that. I've done it now. What? An article in the New European said when she applied to the website's editor-in-chief, Natalia Antalava, in 2018, she said she had worked alongside BBC correspondent Sarah Rainsford on covering the perception of Russia during the 2018 World Cup, right? When she'd have been like 23. Stop giving kids jobs like this. Her CV reportedly bragged, June 2018, reported on international news during the World Cup, specifically the perception of Russia, with BBC correspondent Sarah Rainsford. You know, you can imagine the photo, can't you? Well, Sarah and I have been reporting. Unfortunately, there was a fly in the ointment. And that fly in the ointment... that fly in the ointment for her, unfortunately, turned out to be the person she said she was doing the work with. Miss Spring is said to have sent an email apologising for her awful misjudgment. So she sent an email explaining why she lied. She is said to have written, I've only bumped into Sarah while she's working and chatted to her at various points, but nothing more. Everything else on my CV is entirely true. Right? As if, imagine she worked for MI5. You know, or something like that. It's like an episode of Spooks, innit? Spooks, except based on the BBC. What we call it? Kooks. Oh dear. The young journalist added that she was a brilliant reporter. I am a brilliant reporter. It's like they go into narcissist mode, don't they? That's what it seems like to me. I am a brilliant reporter, and to their emails also, and in their emails also admitted there was no excuse. She said her only explanation was her desperation to report out in Moscow and thinking it wouldn't be a big deal, which she admitted was naive and stupid. So I'll lie in applying for a job as somebody who's going to be looking for misinformation and falsehood in a public body the size of the BBC. Yeah, nobody will care. It's surreal. It wasn't naive and stupid, it was fraudulent, my dear. Fraudulent, and you should lose your job. Right? In her email exchange published by the New European, Miss Antilava told her, telling me you are a brilliant reporter who exercises integrity and honesty when you have literally demonstrated the opposite was a terrible idea. Why are people so nice? Why can't they say it like it is? Are you an idiot? You lied? Get thee to a nunnery. The Coda story boss, who is understood to have not proceeded with the job application, is said to have added, I'm sure if you use this as a lesson, things will work out. Miss Spring, who was prompted to her disinformation and social media correspondent title in August last year, has worked for Panorama and has her own BBC podcast called Mariana in Conspiracy Land. Seriously? You do realise, lovely, that you're about to become the Nixon of the BBC world. I am not a crook. I am not a kook. She is part of the BBC Verify team tasked with fact-checking, countering disinformation and explaining complex stories in the pursuit of truth. Well, I don't know what you think about that, and I'm sure you'll let me know in the comments, but I would say that this young lady, A, shouldn't have got the job because she was obviously not qualified to do it because she lied on her CV, and B, what do we even need it for? Just get lost. Right? With your BBC Ministry of Truth. That's such a left idea, isn't it, eh? Well, what we need to do is we're going to regain public trust. How are we going to do that? We're going to explain really complicated things to them in very simple language. Yeah, that always works with the Brits. BBC and that wibbling falsity goat, do better. Good luck, folks. Good luck.